So every cell not being the same it was before, we're constantly shedding the old cell. So we give ourselves opportunities to do so. And we have the ability to see that as a good transition, as purposeful, as needed, as necessary, and to take the dark, and as we do every night, and say, oh, it's dark time. Yeah. Okay, I understand now. In the morning will be light again. Right. And when we see that, sometimes we get caught up in our stuff and feel like the darkness is going to stay there for a long time. But I have a saying that's really helped me.
What is it?
What we accept, acceptance brings transcendence. So, and so it goes: resistance brings persistence, acceptance brings transcendence, and gratification brings perpetuation.
Wow.
So when we resist something, it's going to persist. It will keep creating more of that because we haven't decided to move past it, right? We haven't looked at ourselves and said, who am I deciding to be? Why am I giving myself this opportunity to decide to be something more? And when we accept it, we're like, I see where it is. I'm going to choose to be this. It fades away. It's like, okay, you got your test. It's like when we go to school, we study and study, and then we become ready for this test. We take the test, and as long as we pass it, we move on. Right? So it's kind of that way the test is for ourselves, that we're choosing this experience. Who do we decide to be? And once we do that, then we choose forward, and we can move on from the class. And then the gratification, if we ever want to create more of something, we'd be grateful for it.
Oh, yes.
No matter if we're broke and we have $5, to be grateful for the $5. It's actually really what got me to this space now is every night, even though I felt like I had very little, I would write down what I was grateful for that day. Even if it was, I have a roof over my head, I ate today, I had food, I had enough money to buy food today, I had friends I was shared love with, I'm healthy, I'm alive. And I would just write it all out. And then it started to build and build and build and build to where now I have a beautiful life. And I just make sure that I do my best to not take anything for granted, to appreciate every single moment. Because every moment's the last moment we're going to have that moment. So even this moment with you, you're a great friend. I appreciate you very much every moment we have together, every time we go to lunch. And I just really want to appreciate that, because I don't know how long we're going to be in each other's lives. And I've had so many times in my life where I wasn't grateful. I just thought it'd always be that way. And then once it was gone, it was gone.
So I guess after that happens a few times, you start to appreciate every moment.
Exactly.
But also what you said about writing down at your lowest point, taking time to write down and think about what you're grateful for, that seems like a really huge exercise in faith and turning your attention within and not looking at your external circumstances. Like you said, you were almost homeless, you had very little. That's a huge practice. I mean, how did you do that? I mean, at that low point.
It seems counterintuitive.
It does, but it's great.
I just listen to all the masters that keep telling us, be grateful, be grateful, be grateful, and for everything you have. And really those low points actually gave me the ability to see, man, I really do have a lot here still. I still do have many beautiful blessings. Yes, I'm not this rich person that has everything in the world, but I am happy for what I have. And so we can be just as happy as someone that we would think that would be happy. The rich guy that has it all, or whatever, whoever we see, the sage, the yogi, anything. And if we're happy for everything that we have, then we're already there. There's nowhere for us to go ever, except here now, and to appreciate whatever it is, be in the moment. And all great sages and masters have told us that. So I just started taking the word for it. Thought I'd give it a shot and see. And so since I'm like, man, I'm not homeless today. I really got to that point. Wow, my friend took me in and put me under his roof. And now I can be grateful for that. I have a place now. And I have, I was able to eat. Some days I wasn't. Some days I was. And now, abundance comes because I truly feel that of two main things, of loving myself
Yeah,
in a good way, a good wholesome way,
absolutely.
and remaining humble,
Yeah.
and then by being grateful.
So you're still building on the grateful, that process.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it is, and because sometimes we slip into, I find myself slipping sometimes,
Yeah.
or everything's so wonderful, sometimes I just take it for granted, oh, it is what it is, and I'll even find myself being negative sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? I have so much beauty in my life, I have so much to be grateful for, why would I want to be negative or unhappy?
Yeah.
And I notice it, I accept myself for doing that, and then it's able to transcend to the
That's
acceptance.
awesome.
Rather than bringing it back to resistance. Oh, I
Right.
can't be negative. I can't do that.
Right.
No, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
alright to be negative. Sometimes the darkness comes.
Right. Just let that cycle naturally fade out and dissolve on its own rather than fight it, right?
Exactly.
I think about that a lot too, as far as, feeling like there's not, like you don't have enough, like I'm not getting where I want to be fast enough. But then, like you said, that's a form of resistance of where you're at, and it perpetuates that more, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that too, trying to let that feeling or that perception go, right?
Yeah.
And just move forward in a positive way. And so I think your story is hugely beneficial.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
I feel that that's why I went through it. Not only for myself, but how can I serve and help others?
absolutely.
And that's, I started because of those experiences, bring my life into a decision of how can I serve others? How can I help others that are in that space, that are really in a hard place, with a lot of suffering?
Yeah.
And how can I do the best I can to help their suffering?
Yeah.
And because of those dark times, I've been able to take the most beautiful things from them,
Yeah.
including having that empathy and compassion. And so that's why I'm really happy that I went through it.
Yeah.
Now I've learned so much from those dark times, and I know there's going to be more dark
Right.
times to come, and that's
Right.
okay.
Well, and some wise people, they say they reach a point where it's almost like they're inviting the dark times. They want the dark times to come because they know what's happening on the other side, what's waiting for
That's
them,
true,
right?
yeah.
Whereas the normal person will be like, hey, I don't
wanna-
want any bad
no,
things to
no.
happen, And so that's at a high level, and that's exactly what it sounds like you're saying, is that it's all going to be for the positive,
Right. There's a good quote, I don't recall exactly who said it, but life starts outside of your comfort zone.
Oh, yes.
And so to start seeing fear as an arrow sign to go in that direction.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to talk to people, go talk to people.
Yeah.
Get over it. If you're afraid to do public speaking, do it.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to do anything, go do more of it. It'll expand your comfort zone, and then your life will become greater.
Yeah.
You will no longer be afraid of almost anything.
Right.
I remember me when I was a kid, I was afraid of everything. I was a shy kid. Yeah. Everything scared the shit out of me.
Uh-huh.
So so it's and then I started to say, I'm tired of being afraid.
Right.
So I'm going to go and take these steps and go towards more of what I'm afraid to do. And then, like you were saying before, when we see where we're not, we manifest more of that. Like, I'm not here yet.
Yeah.
And so what our state of being is what manifests. We're being not there yet, so that is going to create not being more.
Yeah.
So when we are grateful and accepting where we are, and we are appreciating whatever it is, in the moment of where our life is, then that will then shorten that distance of manifesting.
Yeah, well, and obviously it's worked for you, and so that's so self-love and being grateful, finding anything to be grateful for. That's what kind of propelled you out.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That reminded me of another list in the beginning that I actually had started. One list was what I was grateful for on that day. I wrote everything out, and then another was who I wanted to be.
Oh, yes.
And then also what I appreciated in a good friend.
Yes.
And I started writing out, what do I appreciate in good friends? And I would think of my friends, and they offer love and acceptance and appreciation, and just wrote out a huge list. And then what I realized is I had set out to become everything on that list. Every day I tried my very best to become everything on that list, and sometimes I wasn't, absolutely, but I still am like, holy crap, I'm really trying to be the best person I can be.
Right.
And so that helped me come to a place of self-acceptance and love.
Yeah.
And say, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I'm not perfect yet, but I'm sure trying my best to be.
But you're further than you were yesterday, and
Exactly.
vice versa.
Yeah.
So again, the two lists, you wrote out what you looking for in a friend
Mhm.
and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And so did you say you worked both of them together, or did you focus on who you want to be?
It was, it kind of just fell where they synced together.
Yeah.
I know, and it wasn't on purpose. It was really by accident where I wrote one out, and then I wrote that out, and then I realized what I was trying to do every day, and then it felt like they just fit together. Really
Yeah.
well.
Well, ultimately, what you want in a friend is, if you're like that, it's going to naturally attract that kind of type of a friend, right?
Yeah.
You can't be a jerk and expect to attract a nice, compassionate person.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't happen. No.
No. That's awesome.
And plus, the universe, it's like The Secret said, the universe is like a genie, and it said, we'll grant you every wish that you want. But when it doesn't know what wish to grant us, then it's constantly going off what we're being.
Right.
And we change that so often. So when we give ourselves that guideline, then we know what the universe knows what our wish is. When we write it out, this is exactly what I want. And then, and another one that's really helped me is, instead of asking life to become easier, asks to become better.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
back to the, who we're deciding to be is what creates a reality.
Mhm.
When we decide to become better, when we ask to become better, then we choose to be that being that has the life more of what we would rather
Yes.
manifest.
Yes. Yeah, along those lines about, asking to become better, I think so many people fight life, again, like we're talking in the future, in the beginning of the video, they fight it and struggle until they finally let it'll break you down, right? Well, life will win, you cannot win. We have, I think it's a lot about aligning ourselves with like the divine purpose for our lives, right?
Yeah.
And so if we fight and fight and fight without kind of surrendering and showing gratitude for what we've got, it's just going to be a constant struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, and so, it kind of comes back to that, accepting what is,
Yes.
and being grateful,
Yes.
and that will compress the time that it takes in order for us to transition through.
Mhm.
So it'll compress the time to give us, to give us the experience and the ability to choose who we want to be,
Mhm.
and then once we do, we move forward.
I like that idea, that we can speed up our progression,
Mhm.
to where we want to be
Yeah.
by just kind of going with it, being gratitude, being grateful, loving yourself unconditionally. I love that idea.
Yeah. Abraham talks a lot about it, where if we just accept where we are, we've launched rockets of desire from every experience of what we don't want in order to know what we do want,
Mhm.
to last many lifetimes.
Wow.
So it's very possible, it's probable for us to get to that point, as long as we just accept where we are, be
Mhm.
grateful for what is, and give compassion and love to ourselves and
Wow.
others.
That's a great formula. That's awesome. Well, Trent, this has been great.
And thank you for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You always have so much great knowledge to share, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Go get his book. It's good.
Thank you, Trent.
It's fun. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, bro.